All right, welcome back to Bleck and AZ's Fantasy Hour. For this week's episode, we're going to do something similar to last week where we kind of touch on the first few rounds and top players available in fantasy drafts, but instead of a redraft, which is a little more standard, something we went over last week, something that's a lot more common, I'm sure a lot more people are in redrafts. Because it's that point of the offseason, we want to touch on some Dynasty startups. We're actually in a couple ourselves right now. It's been a lot of fun. I know we've talked about Dynasty over the course of the show multiple times. If you're not in a Dynasty league, it's super worth looking into. It's a lot of fun, and it's a little different when you're doing your draft. You know, you got to keep a few other things in mind.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, for the sake of today's episode, we're going to be going over like the first 3 rounds of like a Dynasty startup draft, but it's a pretty good barometer too of just like if you are in a Dynasty league where you're, some of your best players kind of lie value-wise, in comparison to some of the other ones. So it's kind of like super niche to go over the specific top 3 rounds, but it's a nice just kind of like
it just gives you like an idea if it's something you're not really familiar with and you've never done before, kind of just some of the little differences compared to a redraft league. There's lots of different strategies involved in a Dynasty startup and a lot of different ways to build your team, whether you want to be a contender right away, whether you want to be just a young team, kind of looking forward more long-term. There's lots of different thoughts and strategies involved and different concepts and perceptions of specific players, really.
For sure.
Before we get into it, though, we probably should touch on a couple of the trades that went down this week.
Definitely.
Yeah. The biggest one being Myles Garrett to the Rams.
Massive.
That's insane.
Absolutely massive.
That's insane. Like, that is actually... I mean, when I saw that, I audibly, I was like, whoa. I mean... Rams are probably going to win the Super Bowl.
It's funny. Like I didn't go back to listen to our episodes, but I could. Once I saw that trade, I went my mind went back to some of those episodes in the playoffs and just kind of talking about the Rams as if like they were a shoo-in to make the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl even last year.
They were really close. I mean, I think whoever would have won that NFC Championship game, I mean, obviously the Seahawks ended up winning and they won the Super Bowl. But it was a close game, the NFC Championship game. It was an awesome game.
Yeah.
And if the Rams could have found a way to pull that out, I feel pretty confident they would have beat the Patriots.
Yeah.
And just adding Myles Garrett to that team already is crazy. Myles Garrett is arguably the best player in the NFL, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, future Hall of Famer in his prime.
Yeah.
And the Browns got a sick haul. They really did.
Can't be mad at of course you can be mad as a Browns fan, but take a minute, right? Take a little medicine and you'll be fine about it because Jared Verse is an awesome prospect in his own right.
For sure.
24, 25?
Something like that.
Early 20s.
On a rookie deal still.
Right. And then a first and 28? And I'm not sure about the pick.
I think it was I want to say it was the first 27, second 28, and then a third 29. It was like consequential like that.
Spread out a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jared Verse himself is worth a first and then
for
some.
Sure.
I would probably think he's worth like a first and second himself.
Yeah.
Basically got 2 firsts, you know what I mean? Value-wise.
Yeah.
But Jared Verse is awesome. And he fits a lot more with the Browns' timeline as well. I mean, the Browns just won, 5 games last year?
Yeah. And
Myles Garrett broke the sack record.
Right. What's the difference Myles Garrett is bringing to your overall record at this stage in your
This next 3-4 years of peak Myles Garrett isn't really doing much for the Browns other than getting them the 6th pick of the draft instead of the 2nd pick of the draft.
Right. Especially coming up into this season, you're going to want the 2nd overall pick.
Yeah.
And now just again, to add that the first round pick to just give yourself more ammunition if you do somehow find yourself in the 6th pick again.
Right.
It's
and adding Jared Verse, you're literally obviously you lost Myles Garrett. There's no replacing Myles Garrett, but adding someone like Jared Verse is still huge. He's easily their best edge player by far.
Yeah.
And they got so many. Yeah, I mean, I think it was a really great trade for both teams. Yeah. One of my quick instant thoughts was really kind of touching back on just the Ty Simpson thing, man. I just don't get it.
I mean, it's almost like they knew they had this in the works or something, and that they didn't have to use their pick on this year. They don't really have many first-round picks in their last 10 years anyway, so it was kind of like a gift. And just the way that they build their team and have built their team over the past decade is all just money and picks.
Maybe you said maybe they kind of already had this idea that they were going
Right.
to be trading their first round pick next year. So they kind of were already out on next year's quarterback class.
Yeah.
And they
yeah.
wanted a quarterback potentially to replace Matthew Stafford long term because
Whether it's next year or not, even, just to have a
now
guy
having
that you're
Myles
investing in,
Garrett
yeah.
and Puka and all these guys, I mean, they are set up to win now and long term potentially if they make the right choices. But if I was that man, like I can't stop thinking about like if they would have added like a Ruben Bain or something to that pass rush right now.
Right.
I mean, that team is just so stacked.
They really do fly through operations as if they're playing Madden. Like it's a joke we kind of throw around, but they really are.
With the F them picks shirt
Seriously,
at the Super Bowl
though,
parade. That was sick.
Okay, I can't. It's a tough model to follow.
Dude, it's literally like Kevin Durant to the Warriors.
Yeah,
like the NFL version of that. Seriously, it's like it is that really.
And for the sake of like just running your team that way, it's incredibly difficult to do, and it makes it like even more difficult for anybody else to do it because there's really only room for one like rogue agent to just be like throwing their picks all around. I think. I mean, it would be really tough to see another team try to build their team the way that the Rams have.
Sometimes I think it's funny when I think about like the modern day Rams and like what they've been in the past however many years with Les Snead and Sean McVay.
Yeah.
And then I think about like the St. Louis Rams that like we grew up with.
Steven Jackson. And, like,
not even
Mark
like
Bolton.
that. It's just like like they were just like kind of like a smaller market like team, like humble, like you know what I mean. Never really did anything close to that kind of stuff. And it's like, but they had like such like a diehard, passionate fan base.
For sure.
And they lost their team to
and
LA.
they had great years too.
And like
right?
people in LA, like they got so much other going on. Like I'm not saying they don't care about the Rams, but it's like it's like I would be so upset if I was a St. Louis fan that like would do anything for those teams all those years and they leave and now they're in LA and no one in LA cares about them and they're like doing the coolest stuff in the NFL.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Wouldn't it be tragic if like the Chargers kind of started to follow suit too? Like the Chargers got really good and then they're also just kind of like
seriously. I mean, they're looking like they're getting ready for it, basically, right?
They do look like they're getting ready for it.
I mean, I don't know, man. I think that's so crazy. But yeah, I mean, Rams are Super Bowl favorites for sure.
Yeah, hands down.
Probably will be next year as well.
Isn't that a primetime game with Buffalo?
Yeah, Monday night in LA. Bills Rams Super Bowl. I'm already calling it.
Electric Elite. That's going to be an awesome game.
Yeah.
It's like week 4 or 5 or something like that. It's 5 or 6. Something early.
Yeah, it's early. We talked
That's
about
gonna
it.
Be sick. That's going to be a
I think
fun
it's week
game.
5. And then the other big trade, really, I mean, we kind of all known about it for past X amount of months. We've kind of talked about it openly as if it's already happened with a lot of our projections and rankings and whatnot. But A.J. Brown was officially traded to the Patriots. It's cool.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't like think too much about it because it was already kind of happened in my head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Compensation was a 1st round pick and a 5th round pick, which I think is like kind of fair. I don't know.
It is essentially the Diggs trade, they're in like the exact same spot that we were as Bills fans when we made the trade for Diggs. 3rd year of the rookie quarterback who's showing signs.
That's a good comparison for
so
sure.
I don't know if because I feel very similar to you.
I think Diggs was a little younger though.
Yeah, but
because A.J. Brown's like 29. I feel like Diggs was like
maybe 27 or 28.
Yeah, like 20. Yeah, it's like 27.
Yeah, that sounds right. But nevertheless, I mean, they give up slightly more for A.J. Brown, and I don't know, it's good for them. I think that part of our reaction and like feelings about the trade are in part because it's the Patriots and we have a disdain for them. That's why we're a little less impressed. Like we did this like 5 years ago, so like cool. But yeah, I mean he'll be their wide receiver 1. I think Romeo Doubs will be an awesome compliment to him. Drake May is certainly being set up for success to continue to develop. Hard to outdo what you did last year, but I think we all are on the same page in saying that what they did last year wasn't as impressive as it looks in the record books. Given
context, Right. But they are going to play a way different level of competition this year. But A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs are a lot better than Kayshon Boutte and Matt Collins. Oh, they had Stephon Diggs, but yeah.
Don't shit on Matt Collins.
I mean, did I even say his name? I feel like I hesitated before I said it. He's cool. I mean, I wouldn't really want him on the field that much personally, but he does funny stuff off the field, I guess.
Yeah, he was a good blocker too, but why are we talking about Matt Collins?
Not to me personally. Yeah, like you said, it definitely makes a lot of sense given the context, 30-year quarterback, trying to make that jump, giving him some legit weapons to work around. And after making it to the Super Bowl last year, I'm sure they feel confident and just making a go all and move. I respect it. I personally am not the biggest A.J. Brown fan. I have been at certain points of his career, but it's kind of gone sour on me personally the past year or two. It's not because of the talent necessarily. It's more so just the attitude and the lack of effort. I just really have a hard time just understanding guys that, you win a Super Bowl and you're just not happy. It kind of seems like he cares more about himself and personal stats and things like that rather than winning, and that doesn't really bode well long term for me personally.
And I'd agree, but it's weird to kind of like to know that and still like put your eggs in that basket. Like it's just
it makes sense for the Patriots. I get it. I mean, he's super talented, and he still has a couple of good prime years left in him. I'm sure they do feel like they have this window open. They were just in the Super Bowl last year,
I would say I think they do too.
Plus, when you have a quarterback like that on a rookie deal, still you can kind of gamble a little more and take some risks and pay some guys some more money like that. So, all in all, it does make sense. Doesn't really move me too much. For terms of fantasy impacts, it's probably better for A.J. Brown and both for Drake May. So, if you have any of those guys or any shares of them, I'm sure that you feel pretty good about the trade.
Yeah.
But as a Bills fan, I'm not like super worried about it, honestly.
Yeah, no, it doesn't necessarily strike fear into me that.
Like I said too, it kind of like already what happened in my mind, so it's not like I'm like shocked or anything like that.
This isn't our reaction to it, really. It's just a confirmation reaction.
Yeah, there was like some talks about him maybe going to like Jacksonville or some of these other teams, Rams or something. But
part of me thought, I'll believe it when it is final.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Now it's final. It's just kind of lost its like
the luster.
Yes,
for sure.
Exactly that.
Yeah, but now that we got those trade talks out of the way, we could get into some of these Dynasty rankings and seeing how we feel. Like I said, we've been doing a couple ourselves this past week or so with some buddies, starting up some new Dynasty leagues. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. It's fun to be a part of multiple. But when looking at Dynasty, you do have to take more things into account than obviously just this season.
Yeah.
So you got to take a lot of things into account, really, whether it's age, situations, contracts even,
Yeah.
Sometimes I know like a good example is a guy like Breece Hall for like the past like year or two, with uncertainty about his contract. Now that he is, signed long-term to New York, it's different. But, people were kind of taking shots at Breece Hall, hoping that, maybe he walks in free agency and you can see him go somewhere like Kansas City or something where his long-term production and projections are just kind of go through the roof, So it's interesting to see how people kind of look at different players when talking about Dynasty.
Yeah, and like you mentioned at the top, like so many different owners in a first season, Dynasty draft have so many different approaches. So even though we have these ADPs and that we have like some sort of expectation of when we would expect to see certain players go, like a lot of that goes out of the window by like the 4th or 5th round, just because everybody's kind of got a different angle on their build.
Yeah, I mean, even in the early rounds, I was kind of like just breezing over a few teams in our league personally before we got set up today, and it's interesting to see how some guys draft. I think some certain people, they have like a lot more long-term outlook, where we see some of these rookies like Cardinal Tate and Fernando Mendoza, go a little higher than I would imagine, just given their instant return. But some guys care more about, year 3, 4, or 5 than they do about year 1, 2, 3. And I think that's fair. Me personally, I like to kind of look at it in more of like a 2-3 year window because I want to win every year. I'm not going to sit a year out. I really never am. I'm spending money. I'm trying to win money. I'm going for it every year. But with that being said, I do try to keep a little more youth on the team as well. And I think there is a good way to build your team with that in mind as well, whether that's age versus production or vice versa, and you can have a good mix and still make it work, I think.
Yeah. As far as I go, so I think we're far enough into the draft that's currently going on for me to kind of lift the veil on it.
I'm not scared of saying anything.
Yeah, my approach in any Dynasty inaugural draft is really to just like 25 is the magic number for age for me, and I try to make as many possible picks of guys, of worth of worth caliber, like a player good enough to be taking in the rounds that we are, but just 25 or younger, and I don't shackle myself to that mindset, but I definitely I exercise it as much as I possibly can, pretty much throughout the draft.
I think that's a lot easier to do with certain positions,
Yeah.
like wide receiver specifically, some of the tight end youth that we have in the NFL currently. But yeah, I mean, like some of the guys like running backs, it can get a
Tough.
little,
Yeah.
tough.
You get to a certain point where, like
you kind of got to
the
hit.
younger guys will run out faster than like
Yeah,
some
and
older
you're just
guys
not
that are
really
just
sure with
placeholders.
some, again with the contract situations.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's almost better having one of those guys that's already on like a deal, like a James Cook or
Yep.
like a Travis Etienne or like
For
a
sure.
Kenneth Walker, where you know that this guy is
Locked
guaranteed
in
a
for 3,
specific
4 years,
role
yep.
for the next at least like 2-3 years, just given their contract.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it all varies really in Dynasty. A lot more really. It's interesting and it's all year round. It's fun. It really is. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
When we're looking at the top of the board, funny enough, it is the same two guys because they are the two best and two of the youngest running backs in the NFL.
Two most locked in roles
Yeah.
of being the bell cow. Downgraded their backup running backs this offseason.
They're Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs are just two guys that can win you any given week almost single-handedly.
Yeah.
Just given their positional advantage over a lot of other teams' running backs. Because there's going to be weeks where you play guys that just don't even have two running backs that can match what they're going to put out. You know what I mean?
Seriously, though.
And
Yeah.
it's just having them alone almost makes you a contender.
Yeah.
You don't really need a lot more else outside of those two guys. So basically in any league, dynasty, redraft, whatever you're playing, the top two picks are going to be Bijan or Jahmyr Gibbs. Unless it's like a 2-quarterback or super flex, you might consider a Josh Allen. But even then, I think I would have a hard time passing on those guys.
Yeah, I agree. And like you kind of mentioned last week, I mean, Jamar Chase is the third is arguable to take over either of the others based on how you want to build your team.
Yeah, if you're trying to go that zero hero running back strategy,
Yeah.
I don't even know if that exists anymore. I feel like that was
It was a fad for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah. I mean, Jamar Chase is definitely in that same vein as well, and I think, like we talked about, Puka could be as well too.
Yeah.
They're all young enough; they're all great, entering their primes or in their primes already, and should be for a long time. Looking at the top of the draft, it really is a lot of the same players. I think where the biggest difference comes in is maybe some of the risers and quarterbacks.
Yes.
Josh Allen, like we said, being up there a little higher than normal, just given his overall number one player in fantasy output year in, year out. And then some of these younger quarterbacks too, we see fly up the boards.
Yeah, Drake May flies up the board into like the first round projections. Jaden Daniels late first, early second round. And then even someone like Joe Burrow, who's given a lot of credit for being
I think that's kind of
high
interesting.
volume pack. Yeah, I mean,
he doesn't really. It's just the injury history, the age, and he doesn't really have much of a rushing upside. I don't know. I think I'd have a hard time taking him at the end of the first, where he's kind of projected in some of these rankings. But I mean, I get it. I mean, healthy, the guy is throwing almost 40 touchdowns and almost 5,000 yards, so it makes sense.
Yeah, high volume passing offense has kind of just been their MO when he is healthy. So I guess that's where it makes sense. I agree. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't take a quarterback in a dynasty setting like this unless they did have the running versatility.
Yeah, I just would have a hard time taking him like that high over like some of these other guys. Like, I don't know. Like, I know Jalen Hurts isn't like ideal, but I mean, just the rushing touchdowns alone. And even where's Caleb on here?
He's not.
Caleb's not on here?
No.
Yeah.
List sucks.
Yeah, seriously. Caleb's not on this list?
No,
I'm not
thought that
taking.
was
I
on
don't.
as well.
I don't even know if I would take Joe Burrow over Caleb, let alone 30 spots ahead of Caleb.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, Caleb had like 500 rushing yards last year.
And how many touchdowns? Like 35?
Passing touchdowns?
Yeah.
No, he only had maybe 28 or something like that. He had 3,900 yards and 28 passing touchdowns, and then he ran for 500 yards and 5 more touchdowns. But that was year 2 of his career and his first year in the Ben Johnson offense. I mean, he's gonna smash all that over this year for sure.
Yeah, this is a funky list. Although I am using from Sleeper, who we mentioned last week. This is their dynasty points per reception, standard roster settings, dynasty list
For a startup.
Yeah, and Caleb is at 52 overall, behind Pat Mahomes as well.
52 overall?
One spot above Herbert.
Yeah, see, I'm not taking...
That's goofy.
I don't understand why Joe Burrow's that high.
Yeah.
I really don't. I would I would rather just have Pat Mahomes or Justin Herbert or Caleb Williams, just given the price.
Yeah, given the price,
they should all be in the same range.
Yeah, I'm absolutely just taking a tight end.
Why am I taking Joe Burrow at 11?
Yeah. Not what I'm doing.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, I kind of feel the same way about Drake May, I won't lie, but at least Drake May has some rushing upside, and he's like 23.
Right, and I give him credit for giving him some tools this offseason.
And they had weapons around him. Yeah, I can understand Drake May more than I do with Joe Burrow, personally.
Yeah. Some of the other risers in the first round, and I mean, the first 5 players were the same, and then Josh kind of is the first big riser at 6 on this list. 7, 8 is Amon-Ra St. Brown and Malik Neighbors, who both move up a little bit. St. Brown's a late first-round pick based on some of these lists in redraft, but gets a little bit of a boost with dynasty implications. And Malik Neighbors jumps up almost to like a full round.
Yeah, I think if Malik Neighbors, like, we didn't have any type of injury concerns about him right now, and we knew he was going to be healthy going into this year, and there was nothing to worry about, I think you could make a case for him, like, even a little higher, like maybe like at like 6 after JSN.
Yeah.
I think he deserves to be kind of in that conversation with those top guys.
I think you could even validate like slipping him above JSN just based on like quarterback situation.
He's also like 23.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And if Jackson Dart can prove that he's.
I think the Giants have a long-term guy. I don't think Seattle has like the long-term guy. I mean, we'll see how long Darnold stays there. It sounds like he wants to stay there and just kind of ride out the rest of his career there, but. Who knows, how long he can keep up.
No, I understand what you're saying. Like, it's like Malik Neighbors is kind of the perfect combination of, JSN's young enough too, but, just like that kind of like age versus production where he kind of has both, what I mean? It's just the injury concerns with him. But yeah, if you're at like kind of like the back half of the first round, I think you should feel really happy taking Malik Neighbors in a dynasty.
Yeah, Neighbors at 8, and then 9 through 12 just alternates quarterback and tight end. So it goes Drake May, Brock Bowers, Joe Burrow, and Trey McBride. How do you feel about the tight ends this high in the dynasty?
I think that's good. Yeah, I think that tight ends are those two specifically are just like a little underrated.
And it's funny because like they're on 2 of like the worst teams in the league currently. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've been bashing the Cardinals for a couple of weeks
Cardinals
now.
Cardinals are terrible.
Vegas had the number 1 overall pick for a reason. So.
I mean, those guys are literally putting up like prime Kelsey years right now, and like I remember when Kelsey was like top 5, top 6, top. You know what I mean?
Right.
Kelsey was going in the top half of dynasty drafts for a little while, or fantasy drafts, I should say.
Right, and at that time, Kelsey was like 27, 28. I want to say.
Yeah.
These guys are 23, 24 doing it.
So, I mean, Brock Bowers is 23, and Trey McBride is like 26.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean they're undervalued in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean those guys are gonna put up 100 plus catches, 1,200 yards, close to double-digit touchdowns at the tight end slot.
Yeah, I certainly would be more eager to take either one of them over either of the quarterbacks that are in this little group of 4 right here to finish out the first round of the dynasty.
Same. Yeah, if I was in a dynasty startup, I'd have a hard time passing on like a Brock Bowers at the turn at the end of the first for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is a good pick, especially in if some of these tight end premium leagues now. They're getting crazy with all these different terminologies, but yeah, some of these leagues they'll give out like a bonus point for tight ends to kind of just balance out the positions a little bit, and I think that guys like Brock Bowers and Trey McBride kind of just like become cheat codes in those leagues personally.
For sure.
Yeah. Looking down the rest of the list though, we do see Jaden Daniels like you mentioned. I think that's fair. I think that after a disappointing second season with some injuries.
The injuries were tough.
Maybe slipped a little bit, but his upside is still there. He is an older prospect. I always forget that.
He is 25.
Yeah, I think.
He met my criteria barely.
Just barely meets Bleck's criteria. Jeremiah Love, that's like kind of like one that it's like I would say is like maybe polarizing for some people in Dynasty just because he does still have all the talent. Nothing's changed, even though his situation isn't ideal. But he's one of those players that's like you're really just drafting the talent in long term because you know that he's probably not going to give you. I mean, looking at this list, he's what, the 3rd running back drafted?
No. So Bijan, Gibbs. There is none in the rest of the first round.
Genty and then Jeremiah Love.
Genty and then Love.
So it's like you're kind of just drafting the talent and the age at that point. You're not going to get RB4 out of him this season.
No.
I mean, probably not at least.
I don't know. How many seasons do you think you are going to get RB4 out of Jeremiah Love over his career? Even?
Things can change really fast in the NFL, It depends what the Cardinals do next year, If if Marvin Harrison takes a step and Michael Wilson continues to prove that he's a legit wide receiver, they have Trey McBride, and if they get like Arch Manning or something next year, things can change really quickly. But
You can only hope that for him. Really.
this year alone, I'm expecting like top 20, I'm expecting like solid RB2 production, like just based off of volume alone. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like taking him that high over some of these other guys, you're kind of just like, I don't want to say you're throwing away the year, but you're just setting yourself up poorly for this upcoming season. And I don't like taking that route personally.
I feel like Jefferson's a pretty obvious yes, but you take Genty over Love in this situation?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, given their upgrades to the offensive line, Clint Kubiak, they already have their quarterback situation figured out ideally. I mean, Genty already got his lumps out of the way with his poor rookie season, surrounded by an awful team. They're already trending up. So I would take Genty over him for sure.
Yeah, so it's 13 Jefferson, 14 Genty, 1560 Daniels and Love.
Jefferson is also, in my opinion, like kind of underrated. I mean, this is I don't want to say underrated, but because it is kind of fair where he's ranked. Besides these like quarterbacks that I wouldn't take over him. But yeah, I mean, you're drafting this guy. Justin Jefferson's a future Hall of Famer in his prime. He's like 27. It's high. It's if 2 years ago Justin Jefferson, you couldn't get him. He would be one of the top 3 picks. You know what I mean? It's just off of the last year where he had kind of a down year because of the quarterback situation.
I'm sorry. On this list, he goes as wide receiver 6.
Yeah. Exactly. And prior to last season, I mean, it was like him or Chase really for like pretty much everybody. Puka deserved to be in that conversation too, and he is now. But I just think it's not his fault. The quarterback situation was terrible last year. It should be better this year, and if it's not better this year, it's 100% going to be better next year. And even with an awful quarterback situation in his worst year, he still put up 1,000 yards and like 80 catches. He had like 150 targets. He only caught like 80 of them because they're the worst targets you've ever seen. But still, I mean...
Max Brosmer.
Dude, stop saying that name. Did he play in like Germany or something like that? Didn't they play in like the Max Brosmer target? Yeah, Max Brosmer in Germany. Where were you at? Yeah, seriously. Crazy. But yeah, no, that's if I'm at the turn and I'm getting like Brock Bowers and Justin Jefferson, like you've set yourself up. For sure. Like that is awesome.
Yeah, definitely exciting.
Yeah.
Moving on to the middle of the second round here. It's 17 is Lamar Jackson. This is a quarterback that I must have missed looking at the list initially. So he slots in as quarterback 5, which is kind of crazy. 5 quarterbacks to go in the first 2 rounds of any fantasy draft is kind of, I don't know, unusual. And even though it is a dynasty, and I would vouch that it's important to get, a player at a position that is going to be that guy for a long time. It's just a lot. I think there's more guys that you can get of not equal value, but of good value in a couple of rounds.
Not equal value, but given the position that you're taking them at, I mean, I would probably much rather have like a Herbert or Mahomes in like the top of their middle of the third than taking like one of these guys at like the top of the second here, personally.
So 17 is Lamar Jackson, 18 is CeeDee Lamb, and then a couple of running backs, Devon A. Chan and Amari Hampton at 19-20.
Yeah, see, like I probably would like if I wanted to go running back in like the middle or like top of the second here, which I probably wouldn't given like some of these other guys, like I said. But I would take both of those guys over Genty and Love. Honestly, I really would.
A-Chain and Hampton.
Yeah, I just they're A-Chain is in not a great situation, but just given his contract he just got, he's going to be guaranteed an X amount of value.
And this year he might be the only one that touches the rock.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he caught 50, 60 passes just because of the situation they're going to be in all the time, and he's their highest paid player on offense, and and he's still in the 25 maybe, I mean.
Yeah, 24 I think.
Yeah,
he came in
for sure. Yeah, they could turn it around in the next year or two, and he could still be just as valuable. And then Omari Hampton, it's like what? He's like 22 or 23.
Yeah.
Same situation as Ashton Genty, but he's just on a way better team with a way better quarterback and a lot of other things going for him in a Mike McDaniel's offense.
Upgraded offensive line, yeah.
I think Omari Hampton could give you similar production over the next 3-4 years as a Jeremiah Love or Ashton Genty while giving you a bigger return right away this season.
At this point, I think I would take Hampton over these four running backs here in this group. Just best situation. Only caveat is that he is coming off that injury. He did come back for a couple of weeks, but I I wouldn't hesitate on him nearly as much as I would with like Achane or Love or Genty for exactly what you said. They're going to get probably the best short term and also really, really solid long term value out of that.
If Achane didn't just get that monster contract like recently, maybe I would feel a little differently. But
Yeah.
I mean, that alone just locks him into like X amount of volume for the next couple seasons at least. And who knows? I mean, Malik Willis might vulture or steal some touchdowns, however you want to put it, as far as when they get down to the goal line. But at the same time, when the defenses have to account for a rushing quarterback like that,
Right.
It opens up a lot of lanes for a running back. And
sure.
when you're a guy like Achane that can, if he hits the lane going full speed, I mean, that he's gone.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
One of the things for me on Achane is just that he's not a bell cow. He's a smaller guy. So he's not going to take 20 touches a game. He might not get to 15 touches a game. But I've certainly seen him take 8 touches for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. So
I mean, what was he doing last year? I feel like he was getting pretty steady volume last year.
Yeah,
I mean,
season.
it's not like I really recall. Other than like I feel like Ollie Gordon and Jalen Wright, like he doesn't get those red zone touches, which is
Right,
unfortunate.
right.
That is like the thing with him. Could change with the new coaching staff, but yes, he definitely did not get those goal line and red zone touches, which are pretty valuable in fantasy. But he was getting a lot of catches and stuff. I feel like he had a lot of catches last year.
Yeah, for sure. Last year, full PPR, he was running back 5 on the year.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Yeah, he was sick last season. I know that for sure. And I think he had a lot. I don't know. Whenever you get a chance, let me know how many catches he had. But looking at some of the other guys at the end of the second here, Drake London's a guy I love.
Yeah, I'd probably take Drake London over both of those, well, all of these running backs and CD Lamb, from being honest.
I mean, the only thing with Drake London is, like, people kind of, like, hate the quarterback situation there, but, like, it's not like it's ever been good. And he's put up great numbers every season.
Yeah.
And he's also, like, 24.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Drake London is sick. He's one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL, honestly. And I think I said it last week, but, Tua could potentially be the best quarterback he's really played with. As oddly enough as that is.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing to hear in 2026.
I mean, bro, this guy was playing with, like, Desmond Ridder and, like, oh, my goodness, what's his name? Taylor Heineke, my boy, former St. Louis Battlehawk. Yeah, I mean, like, last year it was, like, Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix, and just, like, it just was, and he was still putting up monster numbers.
Yeah.
Like, he had, like, so many he had, like, 4 wide receiver 1 finishes last year. Yeah, he's sick. I would love that all day at the bottom of the second. He just doesn't hold the name value of some of the other guys, but he should.
Yeah.
And then looking at the last few guys that finish up the end of the second here in this Dynasty startup rankings, we have Jonathan Taylor, Teteroa McMillan, and Colston Loveland. Interesting trio.
Yeah, right.
I feel like those guys kind of like almost epitomize this like idea of age versus production.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what you're really trying to accomplish here. I think
as a group for sure.
Yeah, who you take from this group kind of like maybe says like a lot about what you're trying to accomplish in fantasy. If you want to win right away, Jonathan Taylor.
Right.
If you want to be competitive this year but are also kind of thinking like a little more long term, it's like Tet McMillan, I think. But if you want to just go like straight long term, like high upside play, it's Colston Loveland. So I think that's a really interesting trio there at the end of the first round.
Yeah, no, I certainly agree with the Taylor sentiment. But yeah, I almost feel like you could kind of go either way still with Tet or Loveland. Obviously, Loveland's got a little more competition in his position room, I guess. But I still think that he's like, even immediately, like he's going to be, a top 5 tight end this year? Like, I don't know how many other good tight ends there are.
I really don't know, man. I love the Bears. I love Caleb. I love everything they have there. I think that like he's just like shot up the rankings because of like the playoff games and like the couple games at the end of the year. You know, it's like I don't know. Like, do we really think Colston Loveland is like way more valuable than like Luther Burden or Roma Dunze? I mean, positional advantage. Like, you know, I don't know. Like. Look at Colston. Like, I don't think Colston Loveland is coming really that close to like what Trey McBride or Brock Bowers are projected to do. Like, I personally don't see Colston Loveland having like 100+ catches and like over like 1,000 yards. I could see him having like 80 catches, like 800 yards, and like maybe like 10 touchdowns. But I could also see like Tyler Warren easily doing that, or even like some of these other like middle round tight ends, really. You know?
I don't think it's really as much about like.
I think he's a great player, and he'll be a great player in real life. I just don't know if I expect him to be this like 1,000-yard tight end consistently in fantasy every year, personally.
I would agree with that sentiment. I think that it's less about just like his raw numbers and maybe more just about like the actual competition among tight ends. Because outside of like Tyler Warren and maybe Harold Fannin,
it's definitely a big drop off after Bowers and Trey McBride. In my opinion,
how many good or elite tight ends are there actually going to be? And if there's only going to be the two, which I probably are, as their own tier, I don't think Colston Loveland can really get there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Bowers and McBride have like 300-400 more yards than like the next guy.
Unless like Odunze or Burden go down for a significant amount of time, because I don't really think that they have a guy that can step in to be a wide receiver too and demand that kind of target share. I think that they would just lean on Loveland a little more. But that's not something you're going to count on when you're drafting a dynasty team or anything either. I just think that the tight end group as a whole across the league is way muddier. So to have a guy who even has just a few hairs above the next and that tier drops off, I think that there is value in that. But
I think that he has like a lot more, like, you know, you're getting a guy that's going to be a top 5, top 7 tight end probably for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, you know, and there is something to be said for that 100%.
And I think it's more fringy top 5 to 7 this year, and beyond that it becomes more clear and consistent, but it's just like 1 year of growing pains to really start to reap that reward.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a little too rich for my blood at this point. Like I said, I think that he kind of just has a lot of this hype around him right now, and he's just like, kind of, I don't know, this like fun pick for people, and it's kind of shot him up the rankings.
To be totally fair, we're talking about a Ben Johnson-led team, and we're Sam Laporta now. Because like 3 years ago, he was wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3,
tight end.
The elite tight end, the elite new young tight end to enter the conversation, and now he's like
Sam Laporta had like that sick like rookie season, and then I feel like he didn't really like his like. I feel like he's a bigger name value than he is in reality at this point.
Yeah.
And even then, it's like, it's not like Sam Laporta had like this, like, you know, he didn't have like a Brock Bowers rookie season. He didn't have like what Trey McBride just did. I mean, those guys put up historical seasons.
It's fair to say he had like a Harold Fannin season.
Yeah. Like I think Colston Loveland, like I said, I mean, 800, 900 yards, like, you know, maybe possibly double-digit touchdowns, 80 catches, like that's nothing, like that's awesome for a tight end, you know? It's just, it's a big difference between that and what we expect from like Brock Bowers and Trey McBride. I mean, those are historical tight end seasons, you know.
Right.
Like I said, I get it. I really do get it. I mean, you could take a guy like that and not have to worry about tight end for the next 7 years. You know what I mean? And that there is some value in that and something to be said. I don't know what I would do in this situation, honestly.
Yeah, talking like pick 23 or even 22, we'll say you got one of the running
Well,
backs.
let's say I had, the top pick of the draft, so I already have Bijan or Gibbs, you know?
Yeah.
And then coming back around on this wrap here, personally, I would probably, I'd have a hard time not taking, like, I don't know, like maybe like a Jonathan Taylor or James Cook here, to be honest with you. Yeah, and just have 2 top 10, top 8 running backs for the season. And probably the next like 2 or 3 seasons, like maybe with a James Cook.
Yeah.
And then I would probably have to choose between like Tat, Loveland, maybe Pickens on this like turn here.
Yeah.
As my wide receiver 1 or tight end 1. I think, I would strongly consider Loveland though, just having that like top tight end, because that having 2 top 8 running backs and like a top 5 tight end, that gives you a huge positional advantage, and wide receiver probably is the deepest position, or something like on this next turn I could get 2 good wide receivers and still feel pretty good about my team.
Yeah, I think that I don't want to say sabotage myself, but I definitely don't like to wait too long on wide receivers. So if it were me, I would probably end up going like a Drake London or a Ted McMillan in the spot.
If Drake London was there, I'd probably take Drake London for sure.
Although I do have an affinity for tight ends also, so I would also have to consider Loveland. I don't know if I'm high enough on Loveland. I don't know. That would be a really tough call, but for me, McMillan and Loveland. But you have 2 picks, so maybe you get both.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I think McMillan and Loveland, they still keep you competitive for this year and give you like some awesome building blocks for the dynasty as well moving forward.
For sure.
Especially if you have Bijan and Gibbs too. I mean, what is that, 3 elite players that are like 24 or younger? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a great start to your team.
It's a Bleck build for sure.
100%. And then moving into that next tier here in the third round, we already mentioned a couple guys. Well, I did. James Cook being one of them. I love James Cook, underrated player in Dynasty and redraft, in real life too, honestly, in my opinion. Quietly led the NFL in rushing yards last year. One of the better runners in the league. He's like so smooth and effortless, and I think that's part of what contributes to him being underrated, because he's not necessarily the flashiest guy. He's not the biggest guy, he's not the strongest guy, he's not the fastest guy, he's not the most elusive guy. He just has some of the best vision in the league, some of the best cuts. He finds the holes. I mean, the offensive line helps a lot, but James Cook is underrated, and I think that if you take him here, if you go 2 wide receivers or however you end up building your team, maybe you get like a Chase London stack or something like that. I'm feeling great taking James Cook as my RB1.
Yeah. No, is it fair to compare James Cook to Le'Veon Bell?
In some ways.
Right.
It's hard to make anybody as patient as Le'Veon Bell, because I think I've never really seen anybody else do that before or after.
He just kind of stands still with the ball in his hand.
One of my favorite runners of all time, if not my favorite runner of all time.
Yeah, so maybe like a price rate, Le'Veon Bell.
Something to that degree, yeah. I mean, just like I said, the patience, the vision, and he just knows when to hit the hole, and it seems to work out really well for him more often than not.
Yeah.
Underrated player.
Yeah, following James Cook at the top of this third round, Jalen Hurts comes in as the, what are we talking, 6th quarterback. George Pickens and Nico Collins, 27-28. This feels like it's like, sometimes really going through this list feels like there's implied builds at hand. Like,
okay, yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Like, to have, the two receivers on the heels of, this would be like 2 of the top 4 picks, of like having the running backs at the start of the draft, and then I don't know. It just feels like it's like built around a one running back predominantly built roster.
I mean, in this scenario, if you're at pick 26 or 27 or something like that, that means you had pick 4 or something.
2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah.
3 or 4, yeah.
So that means you probably have like Puka or Chase or JSN.
You probably got Jonathan Taylor or HN or Hampton
or Drake London or CeeDee Lamb, or Ted McMillan, depending on what you did there. So, like Bleck said, either way, you probably have 2 skill positions at this point.
Yeah.
So someone like Jalen Hurts could be pretty enticing there. I know that a lot of fans aren't very high on Jalen Hurts. He has his questions and concerns maybe in some areas in real life, but the upside in fantasy, just given his rushing impact and just basically the tush push, it just keeps him really high in QB territories and keeps his floor really high too, honestly.
Yeah, as long as they're not banning that play.
As long as they're not, yeah. I mean, he's getting double-digit rushing touchdowns basically every year as long as the tush push exists. And that alone is going to keep him in QB1 territory. And I mean, he himself is probably only 26 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on a big contract. I don't know. I'm really not with all these talks about Jalen Hurts is on the hot seat. This dude just won Super Bowl MVP a year ago.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
I know they lost A.J. Brown, but they did draft Mekhi Lemon and Eli Stowers. The Eagles are one of the best run organizations in the NFL. For sure. I expect Jalen Hurts to remain relative and competitive. And I think that he's a good value here, honestly, given just, again, where Drake May and Joe Burrow and some of these other guys are slotted.
Right.
I would probably feel more comfortable taking Jalen Hurts at the top or middle of the third round than I would taking those guys at the end of the first, personally.
For sure. And new offensive coordinator in Philly, Sean Mannion.
Yeah, Sean Mannion, former quarterback himself in the NFL. And I think that...
Can't imagine he strays away from the tush push, though.
I mean...
Why would you?
You're not getting hired to not tush push. Come on, buddy. This is Philly.
Right. It was, you don't get the opportunity. That's definitely a conversation.
George Pickens, though, is also another guy that I think I've talked about a bunch on the show that I love at this point. And he's a guy that, when you think about his dynasty outlook and the contract situation, I think it's really interesting. He is playing on the franchise tag this year, or should be playing on the franchise tag this year.
Yes, I think he signed it.
Yeah, he signed it.
You never know.
You never know. You never know. You never know. Yeah, I mean, so given his long-term outlook, you're not exactly sure what team he could be on next season, and that could change his just projections a lot.
Yeah.
I think that he'll hit free agency after having a monster year this year. I expect him to in a contract year, And I would love to see a team like Vegas or, one of these teams with kind of like money to spend and a young quarterback just throw money at George Pickens and make him a true number one target hog.
Vegas is a perfect example because they also have a massive hole at that position on the depth chart. So, honestly, though, like with him being in the position that he's in, he is 25 years old, fits the Bleck criteria. I don't know if there's any place he could go that would tank his value.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, when I think about it, I don't know. Like, there's always teams like Cleveland that would worry me.
I can understand that cause for concern. Maybe you want to throw the Jets in that conversation as well because they're almost the same organization.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't say that is just because Garrett Wilson, they drafted on Mark Cooper. But, a lot of things can change. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Cleveland took a guy in the first and the second. So,
maybe like
and they still have Jerry Jeudy, who they spent, a second or third pick on a couple years ago?
Yeah, they traded for him.
Yeah.
I mean, Miami could be another one potentially, given what they do with the quarterback situation.
Miami would be scary. I would not like to play George Pickens twice a year.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of different ways it could go. But like you said, I mean, ultimately, whatever. If he hits free agency, he's getting around $40 million. Yeah. No team is paying a guy $40 million to not throw him the ball as much as they possibly can.
125 times at least.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
Like you said, it's really not tanking him. There's just places that will be better than others, but no matter where he goes, he's going to be an elite player.
It's tough. Like, I almost want to try to make the case to move him up this list, but to just move him above any of the other receivers ahead of him.
I would consider him above Tet, personally. I would.
London's tough, but I think I could probably get there just based on London's quarterback situation and given, the uncertainty of it moving forward. If they pivot and take one of these highly talked about quarterbacks coming in next year's draft and kind of just...
that's what I would expect.
Bury their losses with the Penix draft pick.
Penix is washed to me. Like, I'm done with. No offense. 3 torn ACLs is
26 years old.
Yeah, it's just. I'm sorry. I wish you the best, man, but I'm not even counting on that at this point.
Yeah.
Basically, in my mind, it's going to come down to Tua. If Tua plays really well, maybe he earns himself a nice contract and he can kind of be like a bridge quarterback, similar to like we saw from like Sam Darnold or some of these guys.
Yeah.
Or Tua doesn't play that well, and they're drafting a quarterback next year.
Bring in Max Brosnan to finish out the year.
Yeah, right. He's playing in the CFL if he's lucky.
No way.
Toronto Argonaut.
Talking about Battlehawks.
Yeah. The Saskatchewan Rough Rider, Max Brosmer. But it's like a win-win for Drake London at that point next, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
Either they find their quarterback this year or they're getting their quarterback next year.
Yeah.
So and he's 24. They both are. I'm really not worried about them.
Yeah. Moving on to the middle of this third round here. After Nico Collins at 28, it is Chris Olave 29, Emeka Egbuka at 30, Tyler Warren 31, and Garrett Wilson 32.
I want to hear how you feel about Nico Collins first, though.
I've never been a huge
Me neither.
fan. I can respect that he puts up some numbers, and I don't know if it's like I don't really trust CJ Stroud or what it really is.
It's like a mix of things.
They drafted a bunch of young receivers that they have on the team too.
Right, it's a lot of
I liked Tank Dell a lot before he got hurt,
right.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back and finds a way to get on the field in a competitive wide receiver room. It's nothing against Nico Collins. I find there to be higher ceilings elsewhere.
He's also like 27 already.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, it's like not the biggest CJ Stroud fan. Offensive line's not very good. They drafted Jaden Higgins. They drafted Jalen Noel. They have Tank Dell coming back.
And even get bigger picture with it. They're a defensive team.
Literally.
So
defensive team that's trying to control the clock.
Yes, right.
They traded for David Montgomery and gave him a contract.
Yeah.
100%. I totally agree with all those points.
He's totally the number one option on a playoff team. Yeah,
I would take all these other. I don't have Nico Collins anywhere. I would take all these other guys over him personally.
I agree. Every one of them.
Yeah, Chris Olave, he had an awesome year last year. Yeah. I like Tyler Shuck. He actually did really impress me, and I think that adding the wide receivers around him really benefits him a lot. That's something we talked about on the show.
And I think it was very intentional because they know what time it is with the draft that's coming up next year, with the quarterback class that's coming in, and they kind of have to make a decision on Shuck sooner than you want to make a decision on a young quarterback. So I'll be interested to see how that develops over the course of this season going into the next.
Yeah, and these next few guys, just a nice little fun stretch here, similar to kind of the end of the second with Egbuka, Tyler Warren, and Garrett Wilson. How you feel about that group? A few guys we haven't really talked about a lot.
Yeah, I like the way it's ordered for Dynasty purposes. I would leave it as is.
Okay.
I think that Egbuka is just way too young to not be ahead of Garrett Wilson and Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren, if you want the tight end, I would probably take my tight end sooner, and if I was going to take Tyler Warren, I would be happy to take him early.
I think Tyler Warren is like
second.
the cutoff, though.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can put Harold Fannin in that group.
No, I would agree.
Yeah,
I would agree.
So that is kind of the last of that tier of
all the more reason to kind of don't hesitate to take him if that's your choice.
For sure. Ibuka I do like a lot, and seeing what we've seen from these Ohio State wide receivers, and just knowing that Mike Evans isn't there and whatnot, he's primed for an elite role, and we saw him perform at that capacity at certain points last season, and going into year 2, it's pretty interesting. I think he's placed pretty accurately. Garrett Wilson's a sick player. He's just cursed on the Jets, unfortunately.
For sure.
But they are trending up, and they could have a quarterback coming in sooner than later, if not this year, with Geno Smith, who should be an upgrade.
Yeah.
And we'll see what Cade Klubnik can do. We're on Cade Klubnik watch over here. But they're a team that's going to be looking to upgrade the quarterback position as well next season.
Yeah.
And then just to round out the end of the draft here, Chase Brown, Travion Henderson, Christian McCaffrey, and Ladd McConkey.
Yeah, so obviously Christian McCaffrey is this low on the list because of his age, because of the injury history. I think he's already 31.
Yeah, McCaffrey and Derrick Henry are the ultimate win now.
Yeah, for sure. Otherwise, though, Travion Henderson, 23 years old. I think I'm taking Travion Henderson out of this group.
Nice.
Being the youngest player.
There's
a pretty clear path to him becoming the starter without too much tread on the tires. I can't imagine that the Patriots want to stick with Stevenson for too much longer. He had
I know.
way too many fumble issues.
I do feel like
Travion
Henderson is really underrated.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no way that we're that scared of Ramondre Stevenson that we're fading Travion Henderson.
27-year-old running back Ramondre Stevenson is in this guy's way.
I totally agree. I think Travion Henderson could really just blow up this year, and I would not be surprised at all.
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
I do like Ladd McConkey a lot, though. I will say that I do like his situation going into year 3.
Sure.
Got a great quarterback pairing. Mike McDaniels is there. He's another guy I expect to blow up a lot this year.
He might be undervalued at this spot.
I agree. Somebody that we'll probably be talking about is one of my favorite sleepers this season, to be honest with you.
Early round sleepers.
Yes, for sure.
Go get your guy type.
Yes. But that's going to be our first look at some Dynasty startups here. And for anybody out there interested, take a look. Let me know what you think. As always, thanks for listening, and go Bills.
Go Bills.